Welcome back, Camily. I filmed a video like this probably about like 2 years ago where I asked you guys things that you would kind of assume about me based off just social media, not really like knowing me, just general assumptions you would make about me and my personality and my life. And it was a really fun video to film, and it was really interesting hearing the things that you guys would think, because some of them are like, oh my gosh, you guys know me so well, it's so true, and some of them are like, no, absolutely not. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. I asked you guys for some assumptions, and here's what you guys think of me. Oh, there's a lizard. You have a lot more friends than you say you do. I feel like at one point, I did have quite a bit of friends that I met like through YouTube. Only a few of them have really remained. And at this point, I really don't have a lot of friends. I have a few really close friends. Most of them don't even live near me. So I do my best to like keep up with them. But yeah, no, it's pretty lonely out here. I really don't really have that many friends. But I'm the type of person that likes to have a few close friends rather than a ton of friends that don't really know me, you know? You're an anti-vaxxer. No, I'm vaccinated. I got vaccinated as soon as I could. I feel like sometimes people group me in with the beliefs of those around me. Some of my friends in the past and some of my family have some very different political views than me. And I feel like people assume because my mom is like openly an anti-vaxxer that I'm also an anti-vaxxer. No, I got that shot as soon as I could. And personally, I don't see why someone wouldn't. That's just me. You're the type of person who wants to change their style every week just to follow trends. I feel like I change my style like every day, and not to follow trends, just to like try out different styles, like it's fun. So I feel like my style just really changes day by day. Like you never know what I'm gonna wear, what I'm gonna show up in. Gotta keep them guessing, you know? You don't like rap music. I've definitely gone through a phase where I was way more into rap music than I am now. Like 2017 high school Cam was bumping all the, bumping, I sound like an old lady. But these days I listen to a few rap artists simply for like nostalgia, because it is what I used to listen to. It's like, oh, I remember when I was like obsessed with this song. But I will always love Chance the Rapper so much. It was hard to go from one kid to two. Yeah, 100%. A lot harder than I thought it would be. Honestly, looking back, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking getting pregnant again. Obviously, I love Delilah to death. I'm so glad that she exists. But man, that was a really hard transition. I think everything else that was going on at the time made it even harder. But it really is like twice as hard. I don't know why I thought, oh, I already have a kid, what's another one? It's a really big commitment and a really big jump from having one kid to two. Obviously, it's a really big commitment. I mean, anytime you have a kid, it's gonna be a big commitment, but yeah, that was a rough one. You have a closer bond with Coco than Dee Dee. I definitely wouldn't say closer, but I definitely have a very different bond with both my daughters, and they're both very unique. Colette was always a daddy's girl, and of course we had our own special bond, but she was really emotionally like bonded to Landon. But since becoming a single mom, I feel like we've gone closer and our bond has just gotten stronger. And with Dee, she's always just been a little mommy's girl because she never really had her dad in her life. So it was really different, like forming that bond. It's just resulted in two very different relationships. And I do think in general, the bond between a mother and a child who has a dad that's actively in their life versus the bond between a single mom and her child, I think those are slightly different in their own way as well. So yeah, I definitely have my own special bond with each of them, but it's not like I'm closer with one over the other. You don't ask for help from anyone because you know that you can do it yourself. That's definitely true, and I think even sometimes when I don't know that I can do it for myself, I still won't ask for help and I'll try and do it for myself, and sometimes I fail and I realize, oh, I need help with this. Something I'm getting better at, but yeah, I'm not very good at asking for help. And I think especially since becoming a single mom, I've had a bit more of a taste of independence and feeling what it's like to do things completely on my own. And it's hard, but it's really rewarding. You enjoy being a single mom. It's definitely not ideal by any means, but it's nice to be the one making the choices and not have anyone getting in the way of that. Like if I have a certain parenting opinion, that's what's gonna go because I'm the only parent here. There's no having to like meet in the middle with someone else's parenting decisions. What I say goes, and what I think is best for them is what's gonna happen. You're super short. Yeah, I'm 5'0". You don't like when people ask if you're dating anyone. Yeah, I don't. Honestly, if I was, I probably wouldn't tell you guys. Definitely not right away. It's a question that I get a lot, and I guess it's just funny to me that people expect me to be like, okay, yeah, I am. You got me. You will never get married again. I would say at this point, my views on marriage are definitely different from what they used to be. Specifically, like before getting married versus having experienced it and just everything I went through in my year of marriage. I wouldn't say that I'm against it now. Maybe I would. I don't know. I'm not against marriage. I just think it would really take a lot for me to commit to someone like that again. Definitely have a lot of trust issues. And just the way I view marriage now, it's just different, I guess. I don't think I'd say I'd never get married again in a way that's like, oh, I will never love anyone ever again that much. Because I'm young and I don't think that's true, but I just don't think I would jump into it that quickly in the future, if at all, ever again. You and your sister had a falling out before she moved out. A lot of people assumed this, but the plan was always that she was gonna move out and go to Colorado with her boyfriend. Me and my situation and just everything going on probably caused her to stay longer than she would have in the first place. But yeah, it was always the plan. It's not like we got into some huge fight. And we definitely bickered when she was here. And I think our relationship is better now that she has moved out because things were starting to get a little, I don't know, just too close, too much time with someone. And when you're around someone that was as depressed as I was at the time, it's really just draining. It has nothing to do with our relationship as sisters or anything like that. It really is just a lot to be around. Me and the kids, especially in the state that I was in, it was just really a lot. So even if that was the reason she moved out, I would not blame her. You dislike the Cam you were 2 years ago. I wouldn't say I dislike her. I definitely feel for her, but I'm really glad that I've changed and grown since then. I think that Cam needed to happen, and I've learned a lot of lessons since then and grown a lot. If I had the foresight I do now, I think there's things I would have done differently, but that doesn't really mean that I regret those things. I was just doing the best I knew how to at the time, and that's all that we're ever doing. So yeah, more than anything, I really just feel for her. I wish I could give her a big hug. You're gay. I want to make a whole video talking about my sexuality and kind of the journey I've had with that, because it's a journey that started when I was like 15 and it's kind of still happening. So I am gonna make a separate video just talking all about my sexuality, and it's kind of complicated and a lot to get into right now because I'm still not even 100% sure what I identify as, because there's kind of a few different terms that fall under the same umbrella of kind of how I feel about things. But I would not say that I identify as straight, and I haven't since I was 15. You feel older than 20. I do, but I don't. I feel like from ages 16 to 19, I felt way older than I was, but I was also acting older than I was. I feel like I let that young teenage part of me die the second I got pregnant with Colette, because I didn't think I could have both. I thought I had to just be a mom and worry about things that like 30-year-olds worry about, and I couldn't have any life outside of that. But now that I'm 20 and really starting to discover that part of myself again, I feel older than 20, but I also feel younger than 20 because I stopped developing in that way and discovering my identity around the time that I was 16. So I feel like I kind of have some catching up to do, but also I've been living as an adult for longer than most of the people my age have. So yeah, it's confusing. You sometimes wish you didn't have kids too early. I'd say yeah, this is pretty true. Way more for their sake than my sake. It's not like I'm super sad that I didn't get those years, or that like my life is ruined now and it can't be what it could have been. It's not really about me, it's more just I wish I had kids when I was more stable, so that way I could provide for them better. I think I did the best I could at the time, but I was 16. And sometimes I hold some guilt for bringing my kids into this world, not really having all the stability that I could. You lost weight. I have lost weight. Since having Delilah, I've probably lost somewhere between 20 and 30 pounds. I really just discovered that working out and eating good had such an effect on my mental health. And so that led me to lose quite a bit of weight over the last year. And also just naturally, like after having a baby, your body's gonna change and go back to somewhat what it used to be. And I definitely feel a lot more confident in me. I felt really bad about the way I looked after giving birth. I just felt like when I looked in the mirror, I didn't even look like me and I didn't feel like me. And also just after being pregnant for like 9 months, you lose a lot of your self-identity in that. So that, along with just not even looking like the same person, that's definitely what started me into working out and changing my diet. But I don't think I would have stuck with it had I not realized how great it made me feel. You regret sharing so much of your life on the internet. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I'm really glad that I have so much to look back on. I'm someone that's very sentimental, and I think there's a lot to learn from the past. But at the same time, I do think that there was things that I shared that didn't really belong on the internet, and it was too much. And I could have just not shared that. And now, I couldn't tell you why I shared as much as I did. I guess I just didn't really put much thought into privacy and what that meant to me and how much I value it. So yeah, there are things I regret sharing, but for the most part, I'm really grateful that I put so much out there just for the sake of looking back and reminiscing and realizing how much I've grown. When you're out in public, people judge you for being a young single mom with 2 kids. My social anxiety used to make me so scared to go out in public. I think it was probably the worst when like Colette was little and then I was pregnant with Delilah, and I clearly like look relatively young. When you see us walking down the street, it's like, oh, young parents, this young family. And I was really scared of people judging me for that. But these days, I don't know, it's not even something I really think about anymore. I think I've just realized that it doesn't really matter, especially when it's literal strangers that you're never gonna see again. But I think if anything, people just feel bad for me. I know when I see a mom out by herself with kids, I just kind of feel for them and I'm like, yeah, I know the struggle. So I assume that people feel the same way about me sometimes. But I've also come to realize that you never know what's going on in someone else's head. And even if they are giving you a weird look, it might not be as personal or judgmental as you think it is. You have 0 insecurities. That is not true. I definitely try and practice self-love and body positivity and just trying to love who I am the best that I can. But there's a lot that I'm insecure about, not only physically, but just personality-wise, or the way I talk, and just random little things you wouldn't think. Some of them are so dumb, I feel like people would be like, why would you be insecure about that? But just like everyone else, I have my insecurities. I just really try to not let it have an effect on the overall way that I view myself, and just accept them for what they are. I think to look at them as insecurities rather than flaws definitely shifts your perspective on it a little bit. To be like, oh, this is just a thing that I'm insecure about. And then to really think about that and be like, that's kind of dumb that I'm insecure about that. A lot of the times, that's kind of how it plays out in my head. You wish Dee Dee was older than she is. I feel like that's something that I kind of struggle with, even with Colette, but also a lot with Delilah. Just kind of wanting them to be older and not cherishing the baby phase, because that phase is so short and goes by so fast. But especially with Dee, it's like I just know it's gonna be so much easier when her and Colette are more on the same level and they're both toddlers and she can communicate. I don't want her to grow up, but I also do. The pressure of being a single mom gets to you. It's definitely a lot of pressure. I'd say a lot more pressure than if there was another parent involved making decisions and stuff. Because like I was saying earlier, it's kind of liberating to be the one in charge, the one that makes all the parenting decisions. There's no compromising on that front. But also on the flip side, there's so much pressure because if you mess up, you're the only one to blame. You know, if I screw them up, then that's on me. I feel like you don't really realize until you are a parent how much the little things can affect how someone ends up turning out as an adult. You secretly want more kids just to decorate their rooms. I do love decorating their rooms. That's kind of more of my mom's thing. She's all about decorating, so she probably wants me to have more just so she can decorate their rooms. But I'd say for me, it's more likely that I'd want to have another kid just to pick a name. I love baby names, and choosing the girls' names was so fun for me. Other than that, I kind of hated pregnancy, but yeah, I always kind of think, like, if I had a third, what would I name it? If it was a girl, what would go along with Colette and Delilah? If it was a boy, what would I do? But I do not think I will have any more kids. No, I'm done. I'm good. You have regrets about your baby name choices. I definitely think it could have gone in a different direction. Like, I think if Colette was named something else, that Delilah would have been named something else. Because I definitely kind of picked their names, or at least Delilah's name, to like go together with Colette's. But I do think I could have gone in a different direction with Colette. I think it kind of is its own style of name. And so with Dee Dee, I was kind of forced, not really forced, I could have named her whatever, but because that kind of thing matters to me, I wanted her name to kind of match hers. So I do think it would have been cool to kind of choose a different style for Colette's name, kind of giving me more options, or I guess different options when choosing Delilah's name. Just something kind of more fun and unique and out there, maybe something shorter, but I am really happy with their names. I don't regret their names at all. I think they have beautiful names. Would not change a thing, but it would have been interesting had Colette been named something else. You plan to change your last name back, or you already have? So my last name right now is actually legally Turner. I never changed it when I got married. Not for any specific reason, I just never got around to it. I always planned on it, and from the second I got married, I started going by Clifford, just not on like legal documents, you know, when I'm like filling out paperwork or anything like that. But in general and like publicly, I'm known as Cameron Clifford. That's what people know me as. So I don't really know where I stand with that. If I want to get it changed to Clifford officially, if I want to start going by Turner again, I don't really know, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm Turner, but I'm also Clifford, but I'm mostly Turner, but I'm Clifford. I don't know. Same with the girls' names. We never actually got Colette's name figured out. We started that process, but just never finished it. So she's still Colette Turner Clifford. Delilah's just Clifford. I'm Turner. So yeah, it's a whole mess. I don't know. I guess it just kind of is what it is. That's pretty much all for today's video. It was really fun hearing some of the things that you guys would assume about me. I'd say most of it was pretty accurate. I guess you know me pretty well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, Camily.